welcome to Comedy Means Business. I'm Matt Grober of Deadline, and I'm pleased to welcome you to our first comedy podcast, where we'll look at the people, deals, and dynamics shaping the comedy space in stand-up and beyond. For years, I've seen stand-up seldom looked at through an inside baseball lens. But that's a mistake, because beyond being an extremely colorful and fascinating arena, comedy is a big, booming business, one that has thrived and even expanded in recent years as Hollywood at large has suffered mightily. Last year, the top 25 touring comedians brought in $582.7 million, according to Pollstar. Leading the list was our first guest, Nate Bargatze, a Nashville-born Grammy nominee who last year sold more tickets than Dave Chappelle, Jerry Seinfeld, and Sebastian Maniscalco combined. That's 1 million plus tickets for a total of nearly $80 million. No one better embodies the power and potential of comedy than Bargatze, but his vision for himself isn't limited to stand-up. Coming off the release of his first book, Big Dumb Eyes, he's currently setting his sights on conquering film and television, the rare modern-day comedian to express traditional showbiz ambitions unabashedly. Bargatze speaks with us in between work on TriStar's The Breadwinner, his first major starring vehicle on the feature side, which he co-wrote and is producing alongside Dan Lagana. Here, he discusses the course he's setting for his burgeoning media company Nateland Entertainment, his efforts to help usher in a new wave of comedic talent, and more. Welcome, Nate. Good to speak with you.
Yes.
So let's talk about Nateland. I'm curious, was there a moment when you realized your style of comedy could be the foundation for something bigger than just your own act? Was this concept of Nateland and building kind of a media company fundamental to your vision for yourself from early on?
I was kind of daydreaming about selling, playing Bridgestone Arena in Nashville and selling that arena out. Not that I even knew it would happen, but it would be just kind of a daydream to keep you going through the not fun times when you're starting comedy. And then I remember the night I did it and just kind of thinking I don't, I was using that one thing as a driver for everything. I really remember thinking I got to find a new thing, another something. And just seeing as my tour is gone and more people are coming out and all families are coming to these shows, is you realize that I think there's less and less entertainment, that's out there for families to go to. So it felt it was all right, well, what if we start doing this? If I can start getting into movies and start building this kind of world and have young comics be able to come up through this world. And it was kind of after that is when I was looking for what I should be trying to do next. And then it's kind of just keeps rolling now.
Do you feel like a certain audience, whether that's families or people that are not on the coast, is kind of overlooked in entertainment, whether that's movies or what have you?
Yeah, absolutely. And, not in a bad way. It's but it's everybody making the shows live in those cities. So, it's easy to get stuck in a bubble. We had that with comedians. I mean, even when I lived in New York starting comedy, you would realize well, if you go on the road, you can't talk about riding the subway. They're not going to get it like they do in New York City. So, the middle of the country is having a resurgence. You got Oklahoma City, you got small market basketball teams making big runs and all this stuff. Nashville is becoming a very, very big city. A lot of people are moving to. So, yeah, it's weirdly, I think everything in entertainment as far as in this country will end up being way more kind of diverse because so many people are moving out of cities and stuff like that. And so should be good.
So could you maybe elaborate a bit on the full extent of the vision for Nateland? You've discussed so many interesting things, you've got a cruise coming up, you want to do a theme park, you've got film and TV, you're doing specials. Talk about some of that.
Yeah. So we got it. Nateland was starting. We have a cruise. It's I want you to be able to see when you see Nateland to be able to trust what it is. So if you've liked my comedy, and you kind of want it to be for everybody, not saying everybody's going to like everything we do, but in general, I want it to be, just not mean spirited and actually show love and everything that we do in some way. So we can do that with many things with stand up. And then it's but then, now what I'm doing with movies to get into that aspect of it. And so, I want to build that out with the company. I cannot do all of this. I need help, and I need the next, younger generation of comics or entertainers that are coming up to be a part of it. Podcasts that we're looking at, and so that's the phase that we're in now. Is like building that. The theme park was Nashville had a theme park. It was my first job, Opryland theme park, and so I just wanted. I have a 12-year-old daughter. It's like stuff to go take them to go do all the little stuff that you don't really think about that I think you can sometimes take for granted when you just want to have like a easy day to go do something, or you're just looking for a vacation or a trip, or like all this kind of stuff that's not political and not like heavy and not, these are moments going to the movies, and these are moments that I love the most with my daughter. And so I want to be able to make stuff for anybody else to bring their kids or go on dates, or you've had a long day, you've had a long week, you've had to, bring a smile to some people's faces. And so, yeah, that's where.
Yeah. You've cited Adam Sandler and what he's done with Happy Madison as kind of impressive in the kind of in a way you might maybe want to emulate, but also influences going back way further, Charlie Chaplin, Lucille Ball. Can you talk about maybe inspiration from certain figures like that, and if there's any lessons or things you're interested about the ways people have gone about building their own empires or their own work in the comedy space?
Yeah, the Charlie Chaplin is interesting because it was that he went out to Hollywood and he's kind of started. I like that Charlie Chaplin. He was the tramp, and he kind of stuck to that until he made one a talking movie, as I said. But it was like someone that knew what he was, and I think expanded a lot of other people's careers. But he stayed true to what he was. It's the reason that he got where he was at. And so it's like that. Like I look at that as my job is to do what I do. And I need to do as much as I can to then have opportunities for the next wave of entertainers that are coming up. And I've done kind of like with stand-up comedy is a perfect example, because I've done every show you could do. I've been on the road as long as you can be on the road. I've done it, and so I just want comics to, they should experience all of it. You should experience the bad shows and the good shows and all that. But just, I think I have very much in mind what they need to do, and the next younger generation needs to, go do it and be, developed.
Mm-hmm.
We, I think developing young talent is, they're going right for followers on Instagram or, social media followers, and you're not really developing these people. And so a comic is young and they, they have 2 million followers, and then you want them to go do an hour show, and it's like, well, they can't do an hour show. It takes years to build an hour show. So like, how do you help out? And not everybody's going to get to make that leap that quick, but so the other ones just to kind of go like, look, you got to just keep plowing ahead and going forward. But yeah, I love what Sandler did. He has his friends with him in these movies and just building a world. I always think of it like building a world. You just want I want Nateland to be a world that we can always like try to hopefully find a spot for someone to come in and create stuff and be able to build stars off of, and that can carry their own shows, which then helps another group of comics or entertainers, actors, musicians, whatever, come up and through that.
Where would you like to see the company be in 5 to 10 years?
So I would say in 5 years, 10 years, the theme park should definitely be up and going. 5, I think it should be like, it should be close, I hope, or at least it's moved on. I think, a theme park is something that, Nashville is very open to the idea of doing it, and that. So I look at these next 5 years kind of, I need to do some of these movies. I need to have Nateland put on the movies that I'm in, that I can I can kind of put the weight on me for all this stuff, get people used to seeing Nateland and being able to trust what it is. And then, the next 10 years, probably like kind of me still doing some movies, but hopefully I've had some movies that we can have spun off that are not me I'm not starring in them, and we have the next wave of stars. I mean, the real big key is to get people to see that Nateland logo and know that they can trust what's going to be there.
Transitioning to film, you're working on the Breadwinner right now, right? This comedy for TriStar that you were part of hatching as the co-writer and producer as well. How has the experience been, like leading your first major vehicle like this?
Yeah, it's awesome. Everybody's been very nice. We're trying to see if I can do it. If my acting, that's the fun thing is you get I feel like all the audience is got to be like, can he make a movie? Can he act? And so I have an acting coach. It's been great, and you're on set, and we were yesterday we just shot for like 12 hours till like 10 o'clock at night or something, and everybody's very nice. I got some people that I've known in the movie, so I'm very comfortable with. Mandy Moore is playing my wife. She's great. The children that are my children, they're like real deal actors. So I mean, I've got myself around people that know what they're doing. And it's more fun than I thought. I didn't know for sure because it's like you get used to. I'm kind of on the go, and so like when
Mm-hmm.
you're going to be stuck somewhere for like a long, for 2 months filming a movie, and the movie doesn't come out till March 13th of next year, you're like, I don't know if I'm like waiting and all this kind of stuff. But I see it now, and like as you get in it and you're shooting fun stuff, and I'm just learning what you can do. What can you do in a movie if to improv. We got a great first direct, or he's not first director, but he's directing my first movie. Eric
Okay.
Appel, who did the Weird Al Yankovic movie, and like he comes from a UCB background, so it's perfect for me as a comic that he's not super strict about it all being on the script and just having fun with it, and I'm learning how much fun I can have with it, and so it's yeah, it's I mean I love it. I love it right now. You can ask me again in a month and a half, and I'll tell you and see what happens. But right now, I love it.
It's interesting what you said about like it's difficult to stand still almost because I feel like most comics feel that way, right? Like it is a sacrifice almost you have to make to go and do these other projects because you could be on the road doing like I don't know how many shows in the time you're making a movie, like 30 shows.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're on the road now during this movie. So this movie, I'm in Fayetteville, North Carolina right now, and we have a show tonight, and and I have a show tomorrow. So this movie is we have some touring still going on during it, but yes, it's very much so. I'm a producer on this movie, the writer, Dan Lagana, and me, and then also like being the actor in it. I like being. I'm very busy. I always have something I got to go do when I'm there. I like that. I think
Hmm.
I was very because I always heard acting is like it's a lot of waiting around, and
Hmm.
so I think I would probably go a little crazy if it was like just sitting in a trailer waiting around just because I'm not used to that. And so I'm glad to be doing it this way where it's like I'm pretty busy and I like that they keep me busy and I'm like, just keep me, I'll be fine if you just keep me busy. It's like when you start, having to get like calling, like you get antsy and you're like,
Hmm.
all right, I don't know, I got to get going.
How do you manage touring while shooting a movie? That is ambitious.
It is. We're gonna find out tonight. Again, come back. We'll talk again, and I'll let you know how it goes. Uh, I'm very interested about the show tonight because it's like the mindset switches. You got to remember your lines and all this stuff, and then now I got to go into an act. I kind of figured this stuff was going to happen, so I built this hour before any of the movie stuff happened because I was like I knew that this was all not that it was guaranteed, but it was all kind of looking like it was heading in that direction. So I
Hmm.
kind of thought, all right, well, I need to get this hour ready. So then when I'm doing this and having to do both things, it's like, well, I've already, I've already been on the road a ton this
Hmm.
year, just in clubs and building it up and getting it ready.
Hmm.
So I'll see tonight. It'll be the shifting the mindset will be over. But I mean, it's like I'm doing, I'm not. It's not like I haven't done comedy in
Yeah.
a year. It's like I'll be going up every weekend, so I think it will be great. And I'm interested too to see what it does with my writing and stand up because it's like I'm looking at when you look at a script, you look at the story a lot more and the scene, and it's not just about the lines. where in stand-up it is about the lines, it's about what you're saying. And so I'm looking to see uh, that opening me up, maybe even for some of the stories and jokes that I tell, to like have them, I don't know, be able to look at them in a different kind of light, and have them expand a little bit.
Hmm. What do you think about what has happened with comedy in film and TV? It seems to be working to an extent in TV. You still see great stuff like The Studio,
Hmm.
but like there's not a lot in film, and it's been difficult to kind of get to a place where we're seeing a lot of comedies being made and then a lot of comedies being successful in theaters. Like, what's your kind of take on it?
I think they just kind of got away from where they kind of got started. They can, I think a lot of times you can chase trends and fads, and you could think this is a way to go down a path to go down. And, uh, it's like you got to kind of remember what kind of all got them there. I mean, the system in Hollywood, it works. It's the best. It's like there's nothing wrong with it. It's just they've kind of gotten away from, I think, what they were doing, and they're making, streaming kind of changed it, where you have TV series that maybe should be movies and not a full TV series, and a mixed version of that. And the big actors were going to TV. Usually they would just go stay in movies, and it was like that old system that you kind of had going, and then it all kind of, it wasn't necessarily their fault, but it's like the streamers and all that stuff. It's just a whole new world that kind of happened.
Hmm.
So I think will go back to that. I think, it's like when you look at TV or something, you look at, there's just so many channels, and sometimes you get stuck in a hotel and you like just being forced to watch what was on that channel, because there's
Yeah,
no DVR and there's no nothing.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
so that that aspect of it, I think, is still very much a desire. And I think people want to go out to movie theaters, and they want to go do all this stuff, and so they need things to go do. And once you go back to that, and I'm hoping with the Breadwinner we get a lot of people to go out and come see that movie, and and have a nice experience and have fun and just be able to have a good day. And so I think that will all come back.
Do you think there's any level of like fear in the studios? Because I feel like comedy is this one thing where maybe they're like nervous because comedians are people who will say the thing that's you know most people won't say. So I don't know if there's a level of like they feel there's like danger in approaching comedy, or they don't know how to approach that anymore in that space.
Yeah, but I mean, I think you got to look at it as like you're buying into that star. So it's like whoever you're buying into is, you're just on board with that star. So if you're a studio, you look at it as it's that talent. Like you didn't invent that talent. That you just are going, I'm a movie making business. This guy is this star right now, so I use him. And you just go into that, and I don't know, maybe disconnect from it a little bit, I think is good. Like to be the relationship between the studio and the actors or the comedians or whoever it is. Like there should be some, maybe feel like some separation, uh where you don't have to feel, the studio shouldn't feel the weight of that person's entire life on them, as vice
Yeah.
versa. And so I think that's a big part of it. With comedy, with stand-up comedy, it's like, I always say this, but stand-up comedy is still pretty new as a major art form, as is a lot of stuff. I mean, uh Charlie Chaplin. I mean, Charlie Chaplin was at the Oscars in 1976. Like this
Hmm.
is, even though that feels like it's forever ago, all of entertainment is still like somewhat
Yeah.
newish. Like it's not, he's not from 400 years ago. Uh, so it's, everybody's kind of grasp, like learning on the go. I think stand-up comedy has always, people have been nervous because it's been that kind of thing. And there's comics that push the boundaries, and they should, and they can, and they should do all that stuff. And what I've done is kind of, it's not that, but it's like, I think people are sometimes were nervous to get into stand-up comedy because they're like, I don't know, what is it going to be? Is it going to be mean? Is it going to be this,
Hmm.
that?
Right.
And so, like with my comedy, it's like I hope to people to introduce to stand up in a way that's like not in their face, and then they can from there go and discover new comedians. But
Yeah.
comedians should be bought into more.
Yeah.
They write, they have to perform it, you have to do everything, and you do it alone. So
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
Versatile.
yes. And so you can really put a comedian. That's why comedians go to writers, they go to actors, they can do really kind of anything. It's a great group to go after if I look at it and I want to build these next stars. To me, if I can grab comics to even be a big part of them, because they can just help so much. We know Colin Jost is in the Breadwinner movie, and just him and Kumail, both stand-up comics, and they just the stuff they were adding, it's like it was so good. There was a scene that's very funny. I'm not gonna say it, but
Yeah.
it was like just the idea that like I was like, who wrote that line? And Colin told me he did, and so it's like that added thing that you can trust if you hire comedians that they are like they know what's funny, and the ones that go travel in the country, they know what makes every city laugh. So
Yeah.
it's no one has their finger on the pulse more than a stand-up comedian that's on the road.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
you should use that. You should. I mean, that's you know, it's before it was like Eddie Murphy, it was like Rich. It was like these guys kind of shot out of cannons. Cosby, obviously, you had big ones, uh, but it's I mean, look at like not to bring up Cosby, but Cosby's still alive. I don't know how he's alive, but he's still alive, and he's I mean, that was like one of the first. Like that's how new this kind of thing is. I was doing
Yeah.
comedy. George Carlin was like
Yeah. Wow.
it's not super old of a thing. So I think now, and it's almost like an easy startup too for like an entertainer. Not that everybody
Right.
can do it, but it's like something you can go try and go do. That's kind of very self-contained. You don't have to have cameras and all this production value and all this kind of craziness to it. You can just go
Yeah.
and try to be funny.
So can you tell me a little bit more about how you've gone about mentoring younger comics and like what you're doing through Nateland in that respect? I know you're putting out specials with them. How are you connecting with these people? Like, what does the sort of mentorship look like? And like, tell me more about what you're
Yeah.
doing with them.
Yeah, we do a Nateland showcase every Monday at the lab at Zany's. So it's in Nashville, and it's to bring comics out. It's everybody's gonna be TV clean. I'm really building this kind of TV clean world where the one thing that I did like in the way that I came up was you try to get late night shows. Comedy Central was very very big, and you were able to be developed through Comedy Central. So you would do a
Right.
8-minute set on Live at Gotham, then a Comedy Central half hour, then an hour of Comedy Central, and and then so on, and then now we're into Netflix and all this stuff. So to have these, have this somewhat system to help the comics, because look, the ones that are becoming stars immediately, they're not going to need as much help, but there's a lot that are not going to be, and they need to have some system where they can develop, because they can be stars, or some of them will be stars, but you got to just let them figure it out. And I was one that I was in the system a long time, and like just kind of keep getting better and try to keep going and keep plowing ahead.
Yeah.
And so you want to have a place for them to go to, and so then you want them to be to write comedy and try to get better as a stand-up, instead of trying to be like going down a road of just making funny videos. I don't think that's going to be able to last. It's hard. Some people can do it, but the ones that you see do it are kind of phenoms at it. Like, it's not a normal thing to be able to come up with that much stuff that often, and it's hard. So that's what we want to do with Nateland, and the clean aspect of it. I don't care if you're clean, if someone's clean or dirty, whatever you want to do, but I do think the tool of knowing how to be clean is
Yeah.
very needed in stand-up comedy. When you
Yeah.
go do these late night shows, and if you have to do stand-up on TV, I believe you should be able to adjust. And if you want any big studio, big network, big TV, like I said, if you want them to trust you, they have to be able to trust that you can be funny with out saying just whatever. And a
Yeah.
lot of comics are coming up right now just through the internet, and they can say whatever they want. That's not necessarily a good thing. I'm not telling don't say whatever you want. I don't care, but it's you need to also learn how to not to be able to say what you want in a way that's not as just to the point always, and it helps you get a little more creative too.
Yeah. Tell me about the producing aspect for you of these with these specials. Like what does that look like in helping them with those?
We got a great team that's doing it. Adrian Culp is like a big part of finding the new comics, and it's new, and it's also comics that have been around for a long time that I've known, and that are very funny. Which those comics I kind of rely on. You can rely on them a little bit more right now, especially building this, because they
Hmm.
could have 20 years of experience, and maybe they're not the
Yeah.
most known name, but that's a comic that I know. Like we have Greg Warren is someone that we put a special out, and people have gone really crazy over Greg Warren's special. Well, it's great because Greg is someone that you get introduced to go like, all right, I get it. It's almost like a cheat code. Like Vecchione, like all the comics we have, I get to give you a comic that might be new to you, but this guy's been doing it for 25 years. Like he's very ready. And then so you get them, then that also helps the younger ones be able to where we're doing a showcase, the Nateland the showcase, where comics are coming doing 8-minute sets that we put on YouTube, and you just want people to be able to follow these comedians there. We did a Nateland live at the Ryman, uh, where I wasn't there, but we had Ryan Hamilton headline, Derek Stroop, another one that's like in
Hmm.
with ours, and we had it on down to I think Mia Jackson, like Pollock, like just a wide variety of different
Yeah.
comedians. And so my job is to make sure I can't always go see everybody. If I hear about someone, I will put them and mention them and get their names over, but just to kind of keep an eye on it. And
Yeah.
I can just be the thermostat on what I think is okay and not okay. And it's not completely fair. It's probably just my thing, but it's I'll tell you, I'm completely fine with going like I was like I don't know about that joke. Maybe that's a little too much. Or no, that's fine. Or that's or I'm trying to find that boundary. I don't want to stifle anyone from their creativity, but I think I know what like the TV aspect would be. So it's a matter of just making, helping and guiding and just answering any helping comics, just answering questions they have, like,
Yeah.
just keep going.
Is the mission to turn Nashville into a comedy hub in the same way you see with Austin right now?
I don't know if it was intentionally to start, but now I've kind of excited about it. And I want it to be a very welcoming place, and I want it to be, where comics can come down that, and the comedians that are serious and they really want to get into it. And with my career, you've seen it with like Brian Regan and Gaffigan and Sebastian, all that, like where people can be stand-up comedians. I mean, for me, I just did stand-up comedy. I did not
Yeah.
do anything else, and all this other stuff is coming. So with that door kind of open, it's like you want comics to be kind of like musicians, where you want to go, hey, it's up to you if you want to go into the movies. You don't, you should be able to build your world up where you don't need the movies need you.
Hmm.
And, or at least that aspect is there.
Yeah.
And so that's what I hope to build to be. Don't you look at stand-up comedy as just a stepping stone. Look at it as like the full what you are, and then have that be the thing that projects into other people. And then hopefully comics, the next 20-25 years, you got guys coming up that are like musicians, where you're like, they're not in a movie, they're not in anything, they tour, they love doing stand-up. And I mean, there's a lot of comics that tour and do that stuff now, but hopefully more people are going to be able to do it, and uh, be able to know that there's there's an outlet for it, and the fans and people are into comedy the way they're looking for new comedians, like they're looking for new musicians.
I wanted to ask about like the business model and how you think like why you wanted to go to straight to your YouTube channel with the specials. What's interesting to me right now is like as far as just awards go, on that level, you see just like the biggest arena selling comedians pretty much, or these icons in play a lot. But like, we're in a time where you see these premium, unbelievable specials being put out on YouTube for free. So like, tell me about why it makes sense for you to do that. I guess is it an ownership thing?
Uh, I mean, it is an ownership thing, I guess, but I don't know if I don't know if I would have, I don't know if I operate completely out of that aspect of it. Because you got to look at it now as like, we just need people to be watching these specials. And it's so the ownership is like, I own Hello World is the only special I own. And, it's like, it's good. Yeah, I would have liked to own all of them, all this stuff, but it's like, I can't just, I was not in a place to own any of these when,
Yeah,
I wanted to. So it's, YouTube is just, we do go out, we do go around and see if we can get go to some other places, some Netflix and some other Hulu. A lot of people are doing stand-up comedy right now, and so we definitely go out and kind of just, with every special we kind of just see what's going on. But YouTube is just, it goes right to the consumer, and uh you want to get people to trust it that they can go there, and then you almost want to make some noise over there, so then those streamers start going, oh, you know what, we should be looking over at what they got going on over there. And so that's a big, we've gotten a few that Hulu bought from Joe Zimmerman, Vecchione, and Greg Warren. Each their specials went from our channel to, they're at Hulu now. And so that's always an option. Like, that's always, it's a wider audience. So like, if you have a good stand-up special and it does well, I mean, there's no rules in the, you know, so they could just come and be like, all right, well, we want that one now. And you're like, all right. And then we do it, and you do that until we don't have to do that anymore. And hopefully Nateland is a brand, uh, can carry the weight. So when they go, we want a Nateland special. I get to pick the comic, and we get to be like, all right, well, it's this comic, he or she is great, and they fit with what we do, and all this, and we've developed them. They've been with us for a while. Audio stuff is good for comics, even if they get stuff recorded, because they can play it on Sirius Radio and they make some money. Like, not that they're
yeah,
making it tons, but you at least feel like you're moving forward. You
yeah,
know.
yeah. Of course. Well, you're an unusual comic in a lot of interesting ways. One of them I think is really interesting, and cool, is like you have such a clear vision of what you're doing. Very few people would be at the top of their career when they're selling arenas and they can make unlimited money and do whatever they want, and say, I'm going to step back. I know how many tours I'm doing. I know how many specials I'm doing. I want to move to focus on acting and producing. Like, that's an unusual move for someone your stage of your career. I would think. How did your like team respond to, like, is that something they've known for a long time that you felt that way? Like, how did they respond, and how have your fellow comics responded to like the revelation maybe that like you're switching up what you want to focus on kind of in the near future?
Yeah, I don't think anybody believes it. So like, even my team, comics, no one really believes me. Uh, so that, it's like, that's just kind of where we're at now. Like, I feel it's like saying it, and I'm like, I'm gonna do it, and then no one else is really believes that I'm gonna do it. But I can just see it. I mean, look, I love stand up, and I love doing it. And not, I don't think to the level and the touring that we're doing. I don't. I think I should get out. Not saying like, as later on, I'm not doing Tonight Show sets or doing spots, or like. But I mean, as far as this big giant touring going and all this, is like, I kind of need to step back. And how hard it is to make it to this point, I understand. I understand how much obsession you have to have, how much focus you have to have. So I know that I need to do that if I need to get with the movies. And again, to build that brand up, Nateland, I need that name in a lot of different areas. So then the next wave that I want to, if I want other comedians, entertainers to have places to go, I have to get this built up, because then it's up to me, because I need to be the one that kind of goes and says like, all right, we're doing this, and then I can go find the talent, and I can find the people that I believe I can, I can tell if they're going to be big or not big or funny or whatever. And so, yeah, I mean, everybody's like, yeah, I think everybody's a little side. And when I see acting, like, I mean, honestly, I see it all. Like, 5 years stand up, probably you got five. Then after that, maybe 10 years of movies, 15 years of, I don't know. But then getting even out of that and, hopefully then just running the company, Nateland. Business aspect of it, like. I've really enjoyed the business side of things, and I'm very competitive, and it's like it's pretty fun. You can be very competitive with business. You can with stand up comedy too,
Yeah.
and so I like that. And but yeah, I see it all where it's like I got to build it up, and then I have to get out of the way. I think I got stuck. I mean, when I came up, I just remember I felt like I always got stuck behind a lot of people. A lot of comics, a
Yeah.
lot of people don't move. Actors and comedians and whoever, for right or wrong, it's not their fault or whatever. But they get to points and then they kind of stay there. And then
Yeah.
you're like, "Hey, can I come try that?" And they're like, "Well, we're just going to keep using this same person." And
Yeah.
and then you're like, "So, all right, then I have to go around." That's kind of how the alt scene got started,
Yeah.
because the comedy clubs are using the same people. And so then you had all these comics come up that are like, well, we can't even get in the comedy clubs because they're not looking at us. So then you go do the alt scene. And then you have these comedy clubs that are like, well, how did we miss that person? It's like, because you were not looking for anybody else.
Yeah.
You were not moving forward. And so in order for you to move forward, someone has to get out of the way.
Yeah.
And so I kind of want to, I guess, lead by example of what I think, not saying everybody should be quitting, but it's like when you get to the level of touring that we're doing, uh, it's a pretty high level. So it's like, yeah, I would like to,
Yeah.
step back and hopefully look, I have no idea. I'll see what I feel and whatever. But I mean, right now, I mean, I'm pretty positive that this is. I just know what you got to do, and I'm not going to quit. So I'm not
Sure.
retiring anything. I'm going to put my efforts into something else.
Yeah. Where is your new hour right now? Do you have a new hour yet, or are you kind of building one?
No, it's a new hour.
Okay.
The end is very good. The beginning or the front, it's all good. Like, but the front is the part that I'm still working on with the chunk. But overall, I mean, it's great. The closer I'm doing right now is like one of the funnest closers I've ever had. Weirdly enough, I got it first, which is so funny. I've never had that happen. Where I had my closer. It was one of the first jokes I had, first
And you,
stories that for this hour.
yeah, I read that you have the closer for what you think is your final hour right
I
now. Is that
do.
right? That's insane. Like,
Yeah.
how is
Well,
that?
I know. I hope I'm putting a lot of pressure on it by saying it, but I hope so. I It's a story I have with my daughter, and she was just like, she was younger when it happened, and it's just
Yeah.
like a parent kid thing with a pet, and like nothing crazy, but it was just we've never had the conversation about it with her, and so I just kind of want her to get a little bit older and uh, be able to have the conversation and her kind of be in on it, and so it's like, so I'm just kind of waiting. So, but like that's the one that I think I look at as like, all right, if I can I kind of got it mapped out. Like my daughter introducing me in all the specials, and I've always thought about that mapped out, that I wanted them in kind of different things, and
Yeah.
uh, so I can kind of see that uh, at the end. So we'll see if it makes it, because sometimes you think that, and then you get there and the joke's not good.
Sure.
But right now, I definitely will tell it.
Yeah. So earlier this year, you were set to host the Emmys. I'm curious how you feel about that, and like the preparation that you may go through for that. 'Cause I know it can be a daunting thing. Like it's interesting seeing new people step up, like Nikki, and having Conan come in and just nail it. But like it is a thing that it seems like a lot of comedians have shied away from, because it seems like kind of a thankless job potentially, and it's a difficult job. But
Mhm.
what made you want to get in there?
I mean, I love it. Like, I love the idea of it being a difficult kind of thing. And I mean, Nikki crushed it. Conan crushed it.
Yeah.
Again, this is a thing that you should be going to comedians for. Comedians
Yeah.
should be doing
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
Comedians will make this great. It's and so it's like that kind of, they're seeing it with like Nikki, how good she's doing, how they immediately just are like, yeah, she's back next year. It's
Yeah. When
it's
you find someone who can do it, you stick with them. They
yes,
re-upped both of those people for the next year.
yeah, and so you should do it. So I love I'm very excited to figure out what we're gonna do to make it. It's not going to be like Nikki's or Conan's, but it's, how do I make it my own? And that will be interesting to see, because it's something that's, it's like I can't go up there and just tell stories about my family, like a stand-up set. So how do I turn that world into my own? So, we're already thinking about it. I got some ideas, and I got some stuff. You kind of think of it through stand. I got a couple stand-up things, and I'm like, I could maybe move that over to the Emmys or whatever, and go over. So I'm excited about it, and excited for the challenge, and yeah, anything, more comics, stand up
Yeah.
comedy. We're all available for hire. So go start looking for your local stand up comics.
The last question would be with Nateland. I mean, you want to do so many ambitious things like this theme park. Have there been conversations about external investment in the company, or is there a real desire on your part to keep it kind of artist owned and controlled?
Yeah, like Charlie Chaplin, United Artists, like he
Yeah.
like did that, and it's I'm open to, like, there's a lot of business side. The CEO of my company, Felix Vertigetz, he was a partner at KPMG, and managed tons of money for his big firms and all this kind of stuff, and so I have him there, and we definitely talk to people about the investing in it or whatever. I'm a little weary to it. I'm a little, I still, it's got to make sense for me. I don't know how much I want to just give up ownership of a company without there really being a reason behind it.
Yeah.
Uh, and I don't want to do it just for money. That seems crazy. And now with touring is like, well, I can earn money and put it towards this. So I try to use as much of my own money as I can. I've used only my money for any of the stuff we've done. Not like a movie, but the any of the Nateland stuff that we've done under has
Yeah.
all been just me. So I like to kind of keep it that way. We can kind of keep in control of it, and it gives you. It's a good thermometer. I think I've said that twice, but it's a good, like, kind of like, you get a feel that you go like, all right, we're doing something. You're like,
Yeah.
is this really helping? Because it's like, when it's your money and you got it going to other places. I don't mind spending. I'm not afraid to spend money, but it's like, I want to make sure it is going in the right direction, and it's going to at least benefit the comedians, and we move forward.
Well, this is all super interesting. Thank you so much for taking the time, Nate. Really admire what you're doing in your career. Can't wait to see what happens next.
Hey, thank you. Thanks again. We're honored to be doing this with you guys. So thanks for partnering up with us. We love it.
Comedy Means Business will be airing bi-weekly. The podcast can be found on Apple and Spotify. Please review and subscribe, and thank you very much.